I recently learned that the term Litha means midsummer, or the longest day of the year. Speaking of summer, did you know that it is not standard practice for orchestras to perform during the summer months? Like in opera, orchestras traditionally take a break in the summer, but one NYC-based orchestra, inspired by the term Litha, dubbed itself the Litha Symphony, deciding to defy this norm. For singers like me, this is a fantastic opportunity to sing with a full orchestra. This past June, the Litha Symphony performed a diverse repertoire, including music from the opera Carmen, which is the opera we will explore today. Here we go. Welcome! This is Opera for Black Folks, serving culture to all folks. Hi, Cassandra here with another dose of operatic storytelling designed to make opera accessible and to inspire you to see more opera. Let's jump in. But first, some opera facts. If you've been following my channel for the past few months, you might be thinking, wait a minute. Didn't you already talk about Carmen? Yes, I did create 3 video breakdowns of Carmen back in February in honor of Valentine's Day. You can find them linked here, or in the description below. However, after immersing myself in the music and the story of Carmen with the Litha Symphony and consequently a production of Carmen with the Lighthouse Opera Company, but I was reminded that there is so much great music to share. Let me know in the comments below if you would like to hear the story of Carmen again from a fresh, more female-friendly perspective. But in today's video, we are going to zoom in on the famous card trio in Act 3 of Carmen. Let's chat about our composer, Georges Bizet. Bizet was inspired by the author Prosper Mérimier's novella Carmen from 1845. Writing the music for Carmen came relatively quickly, but it faced many delays during production. The first pushback on the story of Carmen came from the opera house's company management. The company was known for being a family theater and expressed a desire for a more sanitized version of Carmen. The character of Carmen was considered too risque for family audiences, and she is. There was fear people would reject the character and the entire show, which they did. The gypsies were to be represented as comedic relief, and a request was made to include a ballet and fanfare to lighten up the tragic ending.
Alert! Alert! Alert!
Bizet rejected these changes, desiring to stay true to the real-world struggles, moving away from the traditional commedia dell'arte tradition. Commedia dell'arte, comedy of the profession, is an early form of professional theater originating in Italy in the 16th century. It was characterized by masked types and based on improvised performances that are based on sketches or scenarios. These masked types still influence popular culture today, such as the pantomime and harlequin.
Back off, rich boy! I'm armed!
The characters of the commedia usually represent exaggerated characters of real fixed social types, like foolish old men, devious servants, military officers full of false bravado, etc. This form of theater was often performed on outdoor platforms or in popular areas and traveled throughout Europe. It was widely popular from the 16th to 18th century. Now, back to Bizet. Singers and orchestra members protested and rallied against Bizet, claiming his music was impossible to perform. It was his leading lady, the first Carmen, Célestine Galli-Marié, a French mezzo-soprano, who was Bizet's staunch ally and advocate, and some say his lover, turning the tide and helping to bring the production to completion. However, in response to the criticisms, Bizet made countless edits, so much so that to this day we do not have a definitive version of Bizet's intended design. When the show finally premiered, it was not well received because I believe it was pushing the boundaries of an operatic style we now call verismo, Italian for realism. It showed real life on stage at a time when people were accustomed to the commedia dell'arte's exaggerated characterization of real life. The prospect of watching a military man who they assumed to be someone full of bravado transform from an upstanding man to a jealous and murderous villain is shocking. It's the modern day equivalent of purchasing tickets to see a Disney movie and the theater mistakenly playing a Quentin Tarantino film instead. People attended and still attend operas for entertainment, but more often they go to see and be seen, like a real-time Instagram reel or TikTok with the opera's melodies as the background music. The story of Carmen scandalized many, considering there is death, sex, sword fighting, bullfighting, and the casual smuggling of contraband. Today, we would have called that an R-rated movie, but in 1865, Carmen was described as the very incarnation of vice. And in case you don't remember what the word vice is, here are 3 definitions of vice. By the 33rd production of the show, Bizet fell into a deep depression, believing he failed to meet people's expectations of him and died unexpectedly at the age of 36 in 1875 from not 1 but 2 heart attacks, and died on the day of his wedding anniversary, which, by the way, his marriage was not a happy one. It's a very sad story, and it always breaks my heart. Bizet was a composer who, if he had lived, would probably have revolutionized the trajectory of French operatic style. Unfortunately, he died before he could write more music to cement his unique style as an operatic composer. But his music opened the door to the verismo style that we appreciate in composers like Puccini. Fortunately for you and me, the story of Carmen found international acclaim 8 years after its first production and has stood the test of time as one of the greatest and most popular operas ever written. So what is the card trio and what's going on? Long story short, we are in Act 3, a wild spot in the mountains. We find Carmen, her jealous lover Don Jose, and her band of gypsy smugglers secretly moving contraband through the mountains. This is some of the catchiest music in Carmen. I loved it so much that I was humming these melodies for weeks after the performances were over. However, in Act 3, there is trouble in paradise because Carmen and him do not see eye to eye in their relationship. She tells him to leave because it is clear that this vagabond life is not for him. The idea of him leaving her makes him shift angrily. Carmen seeks relief from Don Jose's possessive insecurity and joins her friends Mercedes and Fresquita, who are happily playing with tarot cards, seeking their future lovers. Fresquita sings of a young lover who carries her off on his horse to the mountains. There he spends his time pleasuring her through the night and is inspired by their love to become a famous military leader. Mercedes sings of an older lover who puts her in a castle as if she were a queen. He showers her with gold, diamonds, and precious stones, and then proposes marriage. Shortly after they wed, he dies and she becomes a wealthy widow. Carmen decides to have a turn. She deals the cards. First, diamonds, carreau, then spades, pique, and then finally, she sings and shuffles the cards in vain again and again, but sings that the cards are sincere and they do not lie. We are now going to listen to Mêlon, Coupon, affectionately nicknamed the Card Trio, from the opera Carmen by the composer Georges Bizet. All right, so what did you think? Does this inspire you to go and see the whole story of Carmen? Feel free to check out my videos. Again, I might do a more mature, responsible breakdown of Carmen that's way more fun. But boom, subscribe, and I super appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my new subscribers who are joining me on this operatic journey. It is so great to have you. Welcome, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Ciao!